Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, the 28th of July. Oh my God, I don't know what day it is. 2023. It's nearly the end of the July. Where has this year gone? Oh my word. Oh my word. So, in the news today, NatWest profits have soared despite Farage's best efforts. And also, there's been more charges brought against US former President Donald Trump. And also, we're also seeing on the BBC website they're saying about something an issue that I have to deal with a lot, which is the fact that you get double charged for disabled people on aeroplanes. It's not just aeroplanes that do this; cinemas do this as well. If you go to the cinema in a wheelchair and you need an assistant with you, you have to pay double because you have to pay for them to come and help you in your wheelchair. So it's a bit unfair. It's a bit unfair. Now, to be fair to some venues and festivals and things, they do allow a free companion ticket for things like Eurovision, Glastonbury, Blue Dot, and certain gigs, which is good, but it's not enough. It's not enough, and the way that the system is structured to discriminate against people who are disabled and make them pay more. Being disabled is incredibly expensive. I'll give you an example. Hearing aids that you get on the NHS only are, as far as I'm aware, so far they only basically turn the sound up of what's going on around you. To get the more expensive hearing aids, the ones that just pick out the frequencies that deaf people have trouble hearing, because it's not necessarily that they just can't hear anything. It's sometimes that they can hear certain frequencies and can't hear others. Some of them are fine. The ones that are more expensive, they start at £1,000, I think, each. So yeah. Being poor in this country and being disabled in this country is surprisingly expensive, as many people have found out over the last 13 years. So before we get into anything else, I'm just going to say hello and good morning to Master Templar and David W. and Ray Harvey as well. Braverman to create the first tented refugee camp. Yes, Suella Braverman apparently now given up her long-held dream of flying people to Rwanda. She now basically wants to house refugees in unsafe temporary accommodation, because there's no better section of society to demonize than the absolute diametric opposite of the people who are the ruling class. In any given country, in any given society or tribe, you take the ruling class and the life that they lead, and then you look at the absolute 100% opposite of that. So whereas the ruling class are rich, these people are poor. Whereas the ruling class are secure, because house, many houses, the refugees don't have any house at all. These ruling class, they run a country. The refugees don't have a country. And so what you do is you demonize the refugees, and the ruling class can spend an infinite amount of money, energy, bandwidth, talking about refugees and how bad they are and how they're crippling our society, which they are not doing. If anything, the government is taking a situation which is bad. Refugees exist, and I've got a really good way of stopping people coming over here in small boats. Do you want to hear my brilliant way of stopping people coming over here in small boats? Well, first of all, we could have free and easy routes to the UK set up for people who are claiming asylum, so that their asylum application can be processed before they get here, and we can actually bring them here. But how about we make it so that there are no refugees? You know, when a country needs support and needs help, and bad things are happening, maybe we could support them. Maybe we could help broker peace agreements instead of selling them weapons, which is what we do. We just basically sell these places. You know, in the Iran-Iraq war in the 1980s, over 1 million people died. They had trench warfare for the first time since World War One. Trench warfare, gas weapons used. It's horrific. And the US and the UK and other NATO allies sold weapons to both sides. Yeah, you guys, you just keep fighting, creating refugees, creating instability, which still goes on to this day. 40 years later, still going on. The instability caused by the fact that we like to sell weapons more than we like to broker peace. So yeah, Suella Braverman, the most horrible woman ever to exist, I think, actually. I was going to say ever to hold the position of Home Secretary, because she actually surpasses Priti Patel for her vindictiveness. In fact, Priti Patel is on the record for saying to her, "Oh, that's a bit much." If you manage to make Priti Patel say that's a bit much, yeah, you've gone too far. That's a good sort of little metric there to have in your head. Does Priti Patel think this is a step too far? Yeah, okay. Anyway, so yeah. By the way, I don't want to dwell on the whole banking Nigel Farage crap because it's just boring and I don't care about him and his stupid bank account, his stupid face, and I hate the fact that he just keeps appearing on everything. But the fact that the head of NatWest and the head of Coots have both stood down as a result of this is just like mind-meltingly frustrating. It's like those people, although I'm sure they're not particularly good people because they're bankers, they're not the people we need to be resigning from their posts right now. The people we need to be resigning from their posts are the people who presided over Brexit, the people who presided over this government's calamitous response to COVID, the people who presided over austerity, the cost of living crisis, the fuel bills that have gone through the roof, leading British Gas, Shell, Exxon, oil companies and energy companies to see their profits go through the roof. British Gas have made a half-year profit. This isn't even a full-year profit. Half-year profit of over £900 million. That's nearly £1 billion. Off the back of our energy bills going through the roof. And the government using our money to subsidise the bills so that more money goes to private equity. The world in which we live, my word. Do I still have a Coots account? No. We'll never have a Coots account. I just about have a HSBC account. The year is 2043 and Trump is facing more charges for security documents. Yes, he is. And this is quite interesting. So let's just talk about this for a little moment. Obviously, this is Morning Brew. I try to get across a lot of the stuff that's going on in the news. So in America, Trump has been charged with an extra couple of charges about obstruction of justice. And this has to do with the fact that he ordered footage, security camera footage to be deleted. And there was a secret meeting. And there's all kinds of mad stuff going on. Because you know it's going to be mad if it's anything to do with Trump, isn't it? It's going to be the Four Seasons, bloody landscaping all over again. Apparently this guy had to make his way through a shrubbery. Not Trump, one of his lackeys made his way through a shrubbery for a secret clandestine meeting in which he said to the IT guy, "I need to scrub the server because the images stay on for 45 days and we need to scrub it." And he goes, "I don't think I've got the permission to do that." And he goes, "Okay then." Oh well, never mind. It's just like, and I think that the meeting was recorded. Like, this is how incompetent these people are. They could have gone anywhere. They could have gone, "Hey, let's go for a coffee. Let's go to your house. Let's go to your house where there's definitely no security cameras." Anyway, so yeah, bless them. Idiots. Anyway, so more charges against Trump. This is on top of the charges he's facing for defamation for what he said about Jean Cavill, the woman who he allegedly raped, and he definitely sexually assaulted. You can say that because it was actually found in the court of law to have sexually assaulted her. And then there's another case pending, which is basically she's suing him for making fun of the first case, which he lost. Also, we've got the January 6th indictments, which are coming down very, very soon. So January 6th, obviously, there was an insurrection on the Capitol, which was led by Trump. He told people to go there and cause trouble and smash stuff up, and they did because they're mindless lackeys of Trump, and that's what mindless lackeys of Trump do. He's also facing charges to do with Georgia, the state, not the country or the person. He basically called up the governor of Georgia and said, "I need you to find like 11,632 votes, or whatever the exact number he was, to win by one vote in that state." That's illegal. You're not supposed to do that. And also, there's this thing with fake electors where they had some people who... So this is a thing in America. It's a bit of a weird thing where you win in a state and you get all the electors in that state. I know we talk about first past the post a lot and how it doesn't really work for this country. Well, they've got kind of an equivalent to that. So in America, you have each individual state. They vote for president individually. Okay, so the state of Georgia vote for the president, and let's say 50.1% vote for Biden, all of their electors go to Washington and say, right, we're voting for Biden. So he gets 100% of the votes from that state, even though he only got 51% of the vote of the actual voters. And that's why nearly every single Republican president since Reagan has won with a minority of the vote, with a minority of the have lost the actual popular vote. Trump lost the popular vote in 2016. George W. Bush lost the popular vote in 2000. He did win it in 2004, but obviously that was after September the 11th and the rally around the flag effect and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the Republicans really have a big problem with the fact that the majority of Americans, taken as an entire country, don't like them very much, don't really want to vote for them. Yeah. Anyway, so this is going to blunder on these court cases against Trump. You've got January 6th. You've got the documents that he hid. You've also got the hush money to Stormy Daniels case, which is taking place in New York. And the good thing about some of these cases, so some of them are federal. Now, if Trump, God forbid, becomes president again, he can absolve himself of any of these federal crimes because he's allowed to do that. You're not allowed to absolve anyone of a state crime. So if he's found guilty of these charges, these 36 indictments in the state of New York about the hush money to Stormy Daniels, then even if he becomes president, if that's, if that judgment is handed down before he becomes president, there's nothing he can do. He will have to take the punishment, and it will stay on his record. He can't expunge it. If it's a federal crime, he can. But oh my God, just give up, man. Just give up. Take your ill-gotten millions. Just go sit on a beach somewhere. What is it with these psychopaths who crave the baubles of office when they don't need it? They don't want to help anyone, and they don't need the money. Rishi Sunak, he doesn't want to help anyone. He was filmed famously bragging about taking money from in front of rich people at a garden party with Pims and cucumber sandwiches, literally saying to these people, well, we took money from the poorer areas of the country, inner cities and stuff, and we've redirected it to here. More canapes, anyone? Seriously, I try not to get too wound up about this stuff, and I try and kick back, have a bit of a laugh about it. But seriously, what is wrong with these people? Everything. That's what's wrong with them. Everything. Duke Vengeance says, during the Brexit negotiations, the Tories could have asked the EU to continue the Dublin 3 agreement, which means there would have been a massive help with these migrants. Yes, but they didn't, because they want migrants to be there, like homeless people, to be there as a warning to the rest of us to stay in line, and as a convenient scapegoat, as a convenient whipping boy, for them to say, oh, look at these bad people, they're ruining everything. The fact that the government do not allow asylum seekers to work while they are claiming asylum is batshit insane. In America, the most right-wing democracy in the world, flawed democracy in the world, they have a system where if you are applying for asylum, you can work while you're waiting. We don't. And the only reason we don't is so that asylum seekers cost the British taxpayer the maximum amount of money. That's why they're putting B&Bs. That's why they spent more than hiring a cruise liner for a year to get some prison barges for fewer people than you would fit in a cruise liner. They want to spend that money, and they want that money to be splashed all over the front covers of the gutter comic rags, the Scum, the Daily Telegraph, the Daily Mirror, the Mirror, the Sun, the Mail, that's the one, and the Express. Splash it. Oh, these asylum seekers are costing us £1.3 billion a minute. And you're like, oh, God, that's a lot of money, and we shouldn't be spending that much money when we've got our problems that we've got to solve. But we don't have to spend any of that money. Or maybe a small fraction of it. The only reason why the government make it so expensive for people to claim asylum here is stoking the culture wars. As Leanderthal said a few months ago, we haven't got anything left. We haven't got Boris Johnson anymore. We haven't got Brexit. We're going to just have to go for the culture wars. Trans people and asylum seekers. Let's go, boys. And it's all so predictable and all so goddamn depressing that people keep falling for it. It's like that scene in The Simpsons with Sideshow Bob where he just keeps stepping on the rakes and the rakes keep hitting him in the face. And you're like, just stop standing on the rakes, stand Sideshow Bob. I know your feet are abnormally big, but just stop standing. Poof, another one. And he's, no, just stay still. Poof, another one. That's the British electorate. They just keep standing on bloody rakes, getting a rake to the face and going, yeah, well, I think that my energy bills would come down if we didn't allow so many people to come from, I don't know, Eritrea or some other country I've never heard of. Yeah. Painful. How's the rejoining process going? Well, we are in a little bit of a limbo situation at the moment. There are a lot of groups, some of which I'm involved with, who passionately want us to rejoin the EU. And so do I. I mean, look, if I had a magic button and I could press it to rejoin the EU tomorrow, I would press the button without hesitation. That being said, we live in the real world. And in order for us to rejoin the EU, we need certain things to come into place. First of all, we need a 66% majority amongst people coming out in polls consistently saying we want to rejoin the EU. And that'll happen. That'll happen over time because young people are absolutely livid. Sorry, the vast majority of young people, not the rich young people who are allowed to go on TV and pontificate, the people like us who, aren't necessarily allowed to go on TV and pontificate because we might say the wrong thing in the wrong accent. Yeah. Most young people want their rights back, and they are pissed that they have had their rights taken away by what they see as the older generation, the boomer generation. Not everyone in the boomer generation is bad. Let me just caveat that. Let me just get that out first. Not everyone in the boomer generation is a wrong un. However, the boomer generation did vote overwhelmingly for Brexit. We know that. The boomer generation holds 90% of the country's wealth. So when you're in your 20s and 30s and you can't get on the housing ladder, it's mostly because the older generation are hoarding wealth like you would not believe. They got things like final salary pensions, which means that 1 in 5 pensioners are millionaires. And let me qualify that by saying 1 in 5 pensioners live in poverty. That's the British system that we've got set up at the moment. Isn't it great? No, it's absolutely awful. And depending on what disease you get in your later years, if you get cancer, lucky you. You will actually have all of your healthcare paid for by the state. If you get dementia, oh, I'm sorry, unless you're actually dying, we're not going to pay for the carers that need to come 4 times a day to care for you. Yeah, we're not going to pay for your care home. You're going to have to lose your house. But actually, at that point in your life, when you're on your way out, you're circling the drain anyway, it would be nice to be able to give your house to your children or your grandchildren. But no, that's going to go. The house is going to go on paying for nursing home fees or for people to come to the house and look after you. Unless you want to look after your parents or grandparents yourself, in which case you'll get about £72 a week from the government to live off. Give Lee Anderson a call and ask him how you live off 30p a day, because he thinks you can do that, because he's a bloody idiot. He's obviously not lived in the real world. Painful, absolutely painful. So, yeah, I think that as time goes by, the fundamental things apply. No, as time goes by, you're going to see more young people coming online, being able to vote, being able to have their voice heard in polls and things like that, and we are going to see a lot more support for joining the EU. Now, there's a few things that Labour are doing that I think will really, really help here. First of all, they're talking about expanding the franchise to 16-year-olds, which is fantastic, which means that there'll be more people supporting rejoining the EU, and other progressive policies like not being horrible to trans people all the fucking time, which is a huge thing for the right wing in this country, and some people on the left as well, bizarrely. I don't know why. And then you've got also they want to enfranchise European citizens living here. So at the moment, there was a system where if you're an EU citizen living here, you couldn't vote in the referendum. You can vote in local elections. You couldn't vote in national elections. You could vote in European elections, I think, but you couldn't vote in a general election. Right. So, but the weird thing and the maddening thing was, if you're a Commonwealth citizen from one of the 54, maybe 56 now, countries of the Commonwealth, So if you're from Mozambique or Rwanda or Tuvalu or Kiribati or St. Lucia, you could vote in the referendum. If you had residency here, you could vote in the referendum. If you were from Germany or France or Italy or Spain and you'd lived here for 30 years, you couldn't vote in the referendum on your future, on your own future. So if they change that, you automatically have 3 million people coming online from EU citizens who are going to be vastly, the majority will be pro-EU. And also you've got younger people coming online who are more pro-EU as well. Coupled with that, we have the promise to reform the House of Lords. And one of the silver linings to the cloud that is Charlotte Owen becoming the youngest peer, and also Michelle Mone stealing £28 million from the British taxpayer to spend on a yacht and houses in Glasgow for her children. The good things to come from that is that public respect for the House of Lords is at an all-time low, and Labour want to reform the House of Lords. Good job. So if that happens, that, my friends, I see as a Trojan horse for getting proportional representation. That unlocks a lot of things in our democracy. More democracy, for a start. Also, people being able to, have their voices heard. Even if they live in a safe Tory seat, they can still have their vote count towards the national total. And there's a few different ways of doing PR. I'm not going to get into a big discussion now on which PR system we will use, because that's not important right now. The important thing is getting rid of the first past the post. Now, once you have those things in place, PR, or at least a promise for PR, and the expansion of the franchise, then you have the pathway open to rejoin the EU. And before anyone in the comments or anyone out there watching this goes, but Graham, they won't take us back. They will take us back. I don't want to sound like an arrogant British dickhead by saying that, but I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying it's not going to involve a bunch of negotiations, and I'm certainly not saying that we're going to get all the perks that we used to have. I don't think we will. But at the end of the day, the EU is a pragmatic organization. You saw how it responded to the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. You saw how it responded to the gas crisis that we had as a result of that. The EU is pragmatic. It's not dogmatic. The Tories are dogmatic, and that's why we end up with things like Jacob Rees-Mogg as a member of Parliament and a member of the government, in fact, for many years. It's not anymore, thank God for that. But this is why we have things like Brexit. That's a dogmatic thing. It's not pragmatic at all. It doesn't have any practical use whatsoever, except costing us £1 trillion of our money over several years through lost revenue, lost income, lost trade, because we told our rich neighbours to piss off because we wanted to trade with our poor friends across the world on the other side of the planet. Yeah, let's trade with our friends in Vietnam. Anyone speak Vietnamese? No. Anyone awake in an office to pick up the phone to have a conversation with someone in Hanoi? Anyone out there? We'll give them a call. We've got Ho Chi Minh City. Go on, call them up. Hello. Oh, it's the middle of the night there, is it? Oh, is that how time zones work? Oh, okay, let's trade. Absolutely bonkers. Absolutely insane situation that we have put ourselves in, and it can't last. It cannot last. Brexit will eat itself. I'm absolutely 100% sold on that idea that Brexit just cannot sustain itself. It will die of its own contradictions. And Boris Johnson, the only way he could get it over the line is to lie again. He lied to the fishermen, he lied to the farmers, he lied to the people of Northern Ireland, he lied to the DUP, he lied to his mistresses, he lied to his wives, he lied to his editors, he lied to the party leader, he lied to the Prime Minister, he lied to the Queen. This man lies to everyone. And people seem sort of shocked now that he's still lying. So when people say, excuse me, Mr. Johnson, is this Charlotte Owen character who no one knows anything about, is she possibly your love child? He will respond, no, she's not. And then you know that she is. Because he's a liar. And you can't trust a word that drops out of the disgusting hole in his face he calls his mouth. So anyway, onto the chat. So we haven't had any super chats this morning, so I've been very lackadaisical in keeping up with your comments. Frank says, if dual national, one of the nationalities being from the EU and the other from the Commonwealth country, then you have votes in the general elections as well. Or you can be a national of Malta or Cyprus because they are part of the Commonwealth and the EU. Great. I don't want all these perks. I want to use the euro. Yeah, Mark, I am a hard rejoiner. Someone's going to clip this now and put it on TikTok. I'm a hard rejoiner. I want Schengen. I want the euro, and I want everyone speaking German. There you go. Clip that. Put it on TikTok. Nick and Dave says, I just hope the nationalistic and nasty behaviour of the Tories is a put off to most. I really hope it is anyway. I could only think that Starmer is holding his cards close to his chest before GE. For a general election. Yeah, Nick and Diff, look, I've been having these conversations online and also behind the scenes with Phil, who's also running the channel here at Labour Social. And yeah, Phil's very much into his statistics. He's very, very on it. He likes his polls. He likes certain pollsters. I think his dream job would maybe be setting up something akin to the 538 website, but a British version. Maybe that's something that we could help set up in the next few months before the general election. But one of the things that he looks at a lot is trends in people's political thinking, like polls, essentially saying, what do you think of this, what do you think of that? And in some ways, like, the polls have got a lot better in recent decades. So for instance, there's a thing called the Public Attitude Survey. Back in the 80s, it asked, is there anything wrong with being homosexual? And 90% of the respondents, over 90%, said yes, there's something wrong with it. And now it's absolutely 100% the other way. So it's 90% people saying, no, there's nothing wrong with it. And that's a huge shift in public acceptance of people who are homosexual. We need that kind of thing with people who are trans. And I don't think that's going to come anytime soon, unfortunately, because the right wing love to use trans people as part of their culture wars to scare people into voting Conservative for the rest of their bloody miserable lives, which is disheartening to say the least. But one of the things that Phil is very strong on is he'll show you polls that show that the vast majority of British people, and we're talking over 50%, well over 50%, they're not very nice. Sorry, but they're just not very nice people. They don't want the best for everyone. They don't care about climate change. They don't care about people suffering. They don't care about anything but themselves. And that's over half. That's over half the population. And if our government reflects the people of this country correctly, we will be a Tory nation and ruled by Tories forever. Our only hope is that there are so many people who literally do not care enough to vote. And we need to make sure that everyone on our side who cares enough to vote, votes, and in the upcoming general election, when it really matters, votes the right way. And I will continue to advocate for strategic tactical voting. Sorry, not strategic, tactical voting on this channel until maybe I'll get an angry letter off Labour saying stop doing that. But I don't think I will. I think I'll be all right. I think I'll be all right saying that, because in the upcoming election, there's going to be there's a group of people who make these tactical websites, tactical voting websites. They're working together this time. Hopefully, whatever website you go on, you will get the same results. Yesterday came out. Oh, thank you to Stephen Durant there. £2 super chat. Thank you. Are other travel volumes due in the next 5 years? I think Stephen's talking about the sequel to my book, Man of the World, Top of the World, which I don't know. I at the moment, Labour Social is taking up a lot of my time, as you might imagine. And being able to also write a book at the same time, I don't really have that. If I had a producer, maybe I could do it. James O'Brien, he just goes in, he just talks, that's it. And he goes off home and he writes a book. I don't have that freedom. So I'm on it. It does bug me at the back of my head that all these moments that I experienced traveling to every country in the world, and I've forgotten half of them now. But luckily, I kept a blog and a video diary, so I should be able to watch that and jog the old grey cells. But yes, Nick and Diff says, I also find that people in the 70s aren't so much the problem. I've come across nastier people in their 60s and 50s. They still believe in Brexit and generally hateful about anyone foreign or young. Well, yeah, Nick and Diff, you're right. But it is a fact that the majority of people in this country are just not very nice. And I hate that. I hate the fact that traveling around the world just reminded me of that. Like, I met so many wonderful people who just were so kind and generous with their time, or letting me stay at their homes, and or just pointing me in the right direction, or just chatting to me on a bus. And then I come home and I'm full of this sort of exuberance. I don't know what the right word is. Like, just kind of reassured faith in humanity. And that lasted for a few years. We had the 2012 Olympics. I finished my journey in January 2013, and it just seemed like we were going in the right direction. Obama was in charge over in America, although we did have the Tories in charge in the UK. It looked like they were going to be on their ear in the next general election because people were pissed off about austerity. But then the leader of Labour ate a bacon butty in a funny way. God, it's weird how history goes, isn't it? Things could have been so different, but yeah. And then within just a few short years, it all just collapsed into just this animosity and backbiting and fighting, and like people falling out with their friends, with their family over things that a few years earlier no one gave a shit about. No one gave a shit about our membership of the EU. It was just a few wing nuts in the Tory party who were just racist, xenophobic dickheads who don't know how anything works, who were just like, why are we letting these people in Brussels tell us what to do? The people in Brussels never told us what to do. Newsflash, they never told us what to do. They put forward policies and laws, and then our government, our parliament, had to accept them into British law. They didn't have to. We were one of the 3 senior partners. We could throw our weight around if we wanted to. And we did. Now we can't. Indeed. Nigel Farage is the Brexit Messiah. Graham is the Remainer Messiah. Long mission ahead. Well, hopefully I'll last longer than him. He smokes, doesn't he? So, writing's on the wall. Sarah Davis says, when I started my transition to female, I felt like the NHS was helping me live a better life. So I started donating blood to give back to others. Oh, that's really good, Sarah. Thank you. Rob Reed Jones, I'm convinced 2012 Olympics was the last time the whole country felt truly united. It all went downhill from there. Yeah, it did. Indeed. Yeah, I mean, people give blood. People don't have to give blood. It's a wonderful thing that people give blood in this country because they're giving their time and literally their blood for someone that they'll never know, they'll never meet, but they can save someone's life. So my partner was saved by blood transfusion 13 years ago, and yeah, now she can't give blood because she's had a blood transfusion, but I can still give blood, so I do. But it's the right wing would say they'd look at that and go, oh, look at you virtue signaler. Look at you signaling your virtue. And you're like, how can you take something as, let's say, noble and pure as giving blood to a stranger that you'll never meet in order to save their freaking life, and corrupting it and making it a bad thing, making it something to be embarrassed about, like the term do-gooder. Yeah, when people go, oh, you do-gooder. Well, what's the opposite of a do-gooder? A do-badder. Do you go around doing bad things and that makes you feel good? Oh, look at these do-gooders making these refugees feel welcome with a cartoon on the wall. Oh, how dare they? Those do-gooders. They're the worst of us. Yeah, I could go on. Anyway, so I'm gonna have to wrap it up soon because we are 5 minutes over time. Sorry. And I know you're dying to get over to LBC and listen to who's on today. Is it still David Lammy? James O'Brien will be back on Monday morning, as will I hope. Christopher Wall says yes, but the directors originated with the EU commissioners, of which we appointed one who had a veto power at that stage. Yeah, and there's so many facets of the EU that were incredibly democratic, ridiculously democratic. I mean, look at the fact that the trade deal with Canada, it's Canada, wasn't it, was held up by the farmers of Walloon in Belgium, the Walloonish farmers, Walloonians, and they said, no, this isn't helping us. So they changed it. They changed the deal to placate the Walloonian Parliament of Belgium, and they went, okay, yeah, we can live with that. And then people go, oh, they make you have referendums until they get the right result. No. What happened in Ireland over the Lisbon Treaty? They had a referendum and they rejected it. They went back to the EU. They changed some things that the Irish people were not happy with. And then they put it back to the Irish people. And the second time around, they went, okay, then. That's not an affront to democracy. That's how democracy should work. That's how any deal should work. Hey, I'm going to buy this off you. Yeah, it'll be £100. Oh, I've only got 50. Oh, well, go away then. You're not going to barter? No, we're not going to barter. Go away. I don't want to speak to you. I don't want to see you ever again, you bastard. Duke Vengeance, I'm a do-badder. I pet cute cats while sitting on a swivel chair and reviewing my evil plans for world domination. Oh, at least my cat wasn't so evil. My evil cat. And G's Factor, really good point. Putin couldn't have been happier with how Brexit turned out. You're not wrong there, my friend. Okay, so thank you all very much for watching today on Morning Brew. I will be back on Monday at 9:30. I might try and put out some videos over the weekend, but I will be traveling, so I don't know if I'll be able to get any online. But I won't be in the studio on Monday morning, so you might have to bear with me. But we'll try and get it done. And then Phil is back on Tuesday morning at 9:30 as well. So end of the week, it's Friday. It's the middle of summer. The kids are off school. So have a great day. I hope the weather improves. I hope it's not raining where you are. But have a good weekend as well. And until next time, I'll say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.